Good afternoon. I'm John Howard, partner with Quarles & Brady and proud chairman of Westmark. Thank you to all of you for joining us for this important conversation today, live from the governor's office. We've had quite a year in many ways, yet found a way to all gather this afternoon, remain connected, and learn from each other about the key priorities facing this nation, the state, and the West Valley. I would like to take a moment to recognize our sponsors for the event today. Our gold sponsors, APS and Desert Diamond. Silver sponsors, City of Peoria, City of Phoenix, and City of Surprise. Bronze sponsors, the Arizona Coyotes, Phoenix Raceway, Quarles & Brady, SRP, Stiefel, Sun Health, and Valleywise Health. And a special thanks to our technology sponsors, the City of Peoria and Estrella Mountain Community College. Your commitment, dedication to the region, and investment in Westmark allows us to bring great programming, people, projects, and of course policy discussions to regional stakeholders. I would also like to recognize the many West Valley elected officials joining us today. Please help us recognize elected officials from Avondale, Buckeye, El Mirage, Glendale, Goodyear, Peoria, Surprise, and Youngtown. The West Valley's leadership is a powerful force in this state. We also have many fellow Westmark board members joining us today. Thank you all for joining us. As we can all attest, this has been an incredibly challenging year, but there have also been a lot of reasons to be hopeful. This year has challenged us to find our strength, pull together, and become more innovative. We have seen these attributes lift our entire state, but here at Westmark, we are especially proud of the continued growth in the West Valley and the collaboration between our members that has helped drive that growth. Westmark has also been innovative and has worked creatively with members and stakeholders throughout this very challenging time to continue driving member value, increasing membership, and offering unique and collaborative events such as this one through the use of our expanded technology platform. Today we are excited to not only hear from Governor Ducey about his 2021 priorities, but also have our CEO, Centra Hoffman, engage in a thoughtful discussion with the governor on your behalf. As I understand, we received a large number of questions from our audience, and we will do our best to address as many of these as possible during our time here today. Now, I'm honored to introduce Governor Doug Ducey, the 23rd governor of the great state of Arizona. He was elected in 2014 and re-elected in 2018, earning more votes for governor than anyone in state history. Governor Ducey has applied his experience from a successful career in business, including his time as CEO of Cold Stone Creamery, to bring much needed change to Arizona government. Governor Ducey has cut regulations and simplified policies to stimulate job creation and economic growth. In 2019, Arizona became the first state to provide universal recognition of occupational licenses from other states, thus opening the door for immediate employment for military family members and new residents. His administration has made it a priority to make Arizona a land of opportunity for all, and the results speak for themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Doug Ducey. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to John and good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate you being here today. I wish that we could be together in person. We would have preferred our usual State of the State proceedings, but given the situation with COVID-19, we thought that this was more responsible. Usually we're out at one of your great West Valley venues, and we will keep this tradition going at this time next year, and it's always a pleasure to be in the West Valley, even if today it's just virtually. I want to give you a shortened version of my State of the State address for those who weren't able to tune in Monday, and then I hopefully want to answer any question that's on your mind. Last Friday, I had the pleasure of meeting with all four of our legislative leaders, Speaker Rusty Bowers, President Karen Fann, and leaders Reginald Boulding and Rebecca Rios. We could all agree that the pandemic remains job one and the top priority in the state of Arizona, and it will for months to come. We must remain vigilant in the wake of this pandemic. This has been a vicious virus, taking 10,000 plus lives, and it's left nothing but grief in its path. But we aim to cut that path off as quickly as possible with the arrival of the vaccine. We're hopeful that 2021 is going to look a lot different than 2020 has. And while public health officials are working hard, we need them to work even faster than they're working today. So we have brought every possible resource to the fore, with more on the way. At my direction, the state has launched a 24/7 vaccination site in the West Valley. It's a large and notable location, State Farm Stadium, home of our Arizona Cardinals. So I want to thank the owner and president of the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Bidwell, and the Bidwell family for their generosity, their commitment to Arizona, and their partnership in this effort. This is a crucial step in the fight against COVID-19. In this new session, the legislature and I have many big pieces of business to complete in addition to COVID and these vaccinations, which remain our top priority. Our goal has been to make Arizona the best place in the nation to live, work, and do business. And every year I've been governor, we've been able to improve our taxes in the taxpayer's favor. We simplified the code, we've lowered all the rates, we've protected our people against inflation, and we've actually eliminated an entire tax bracket. In all of this, we've proven that our government can fulfill every obligation it has and answered the unexpected needs of a growing state without raising taxes. As bad as things got across the country and in the state of Arizona, we are recovering fast. And the West Valley is going to play a key role in the state's economic recovery. In October, White Claw cut the ribbon on its new $250 million manufacturing facility in Glendale. That'll bring an additional 250 jobs. And in November, Red Bull began producing cans in its 700,000 square foot factory, building upon its development in Glendale. And MyTech announced its expanding manufacturing operations, bringing new jobs and opportunity for Towson. I really believe that Arizona will emerge from this pandemic stronger than ever, with the West Valley leading the way. In the coming weeks, legislators and I will have a lot more to talk over. There's general agreement, for instance, on COVID liability protection, so that a statewide emergency is not going to line the pockets of trial attorneys with frivolous lawsuits. Among other items requiring our attention, we intend to work on broadband expansion, greater access to telemedicine, better roads and bridges, continuing to be a global leader on water innovation, better equipment and training for law enforcement, criminal justice reform, and guarding against wildfires so we stay on top of that ever-present risk. We can complete all of this in 2021, and I want you to know that I am ready. I thank you for listening. I look forward to answering your questions, and God bless.
Well, Governor, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us this afternoon with Westmark and the West Valley Leadership Group. You know, as you mentioned, this is kind of a far cry from what we did last year when we packed the house in Avondale at the Phoenix Raceway. So hopefully we'll get back to those times soon. But
I prefer last year. That was more fun. It was great. What a big room we had. Enthusiastic people, and the West Valley always shows up. So let's make a date for next year, same time.
Heck yeah, let's do it. Awesome. So first I want to thank the virtual audience for joining us today. Appreciate your time and commitment to Westmark. And you know, you all responded pretty quickly when we sent out a call for questions. So I want to let you know that truthfully we got a plethora of questions, and I don't know that we'll get them to all of them today, but we'll do our best. So here we go. Kicking it off, man, aren't we glad that we finally have a vaccine?
It's finally the solution in which we can put this behind us. So Arizona is going to do this fast. We're going to do it better than other states, and we've got a real sense of urgency and purpose on this. And right in the West Valley at State Farm Stadium, home of the Arizona Cardinals, we've got a 24/7 vaccination site. They're doing about 6,000 vaccines a day right now. We want to ramp that up to 12,000. So yes, we can get this behind us. We want Arizonans to be safe. We still have to stay very vigilant around this pandemic for right now. We can't let our guard down, but the solution's in front of us. We're working with our federal partners and healthcare officials and experts right here in the state and across the country to do this as effectively as possible for the people of Arizona.
So this might be kind of a tough follow-up, but I think it's great that we hit the healthcare professionals, the first responders, the senior population first. But what about me? When do I get my shot in the arm? Is there a timeline about that, or what are your thoughts there? What does your crystal ball say?
Well, we want to get you a shot. Now, young and healthy has been, of course, a priority after our most vulnerable. So we do think we're in a position now where we're going to be able to be expanding the universe. This started out with healthcare providers, doctors, nurses, hospital staff, emergency medical responders. Then it went to the folks that are in congregate care, long-term care facilities, skilled nursing facilities, retirement homes. Those are the people that were most vulnerable. Then we are moving to cops and firefighters and teachers, because we want our teachers protected. We want to get them back into the classroom. And then we're going to really be able to expand that universe. So look for some announcements here, Sintra, in the coming days on how we expand that. And for what it's worth, because those people are all more important and also more vulnerable. I've not received the vaccine. I said I'm simply not going to get it before my grandmother. She turned 97 on January 4th, and on complete coincidence, she received the vaccine that day. Next comes up my mom, and then after that, we'll get in line, Sintra.
Yeah, there you go. My parents are getting theirs on Monday.
Oh, good.
I'm excited about that. And
Are they getting it at the stadium?
They're getting it actually in New York.
Oh, okay.
So, but they'll be back. They'll be back to Arizona soon. So, 2020, like you mentioned, has been a pretty strong year. We've seen a lot of projects. We've seen a lot of new companies locate in the West Valley. And obviously not to minimize the losses that we've incurred this year, business, personally, and so on. But I really feel that we've seen a lot of the growth because we've seen a lot of those companies coming to us because we have a lot of the growth in the West Valley, 1.7 million residents today. Globe Corporation is is getting ready to break ground on a Class A office space in the city of Goodyear, and that's huge for the West Valley. It's our first Class A office building, real Class A office building, so we're really excited about that. But again, I'm going to push you back to your crystal ball. How do you see the pandemic affecting Arizona's economy long term or in the next steps?
Well, the pandemic is in all 50 states. I mean, it's all around the globe, of course. So the challenges that we're having here, other states are having as well. But if you think about it, if you can go back a year ago today, there was really nothing but blue sky ahead. Our state was booming. We were in the top 5 states for not only personal income growth, but economic momentum. So through the recession, through the pandemic, we're still top 5. And our pipeline has never been more full. So if you look at the policies that we've had to protect lives, and in addition to that, we wanted to protect livelihoods along with it, that's been a lot different than many other places. So people are coming to Arizona by the thousands. Businesses are coming by the thousands, both large and small. You mentioned Globe Corporation. I mentioned Ball Industries and White Claw. Places like Tolleson getting real economic development and capturing excellent companies. We're in a great position as a state to continue growing, and I have every intention over the next 2 years to sell what I believe is the best proposition and product in the country, the state of Arizona.
Absolutely. I almost think also that we have an advantage. The pandemic has forced many of us to work from home. But now we have those California tech workforce that's working from home, and they can, make money in Arizona, get paid from California, make money here in Arizona, spend it locally, and contribute to our economy. So that's another thing that we'll be kicking off in 21 in the West Valley.
For sure, let's take advantage of that. We're under full obligation, under contract for the next couple of years. And there is an exodus out of those high tax,
Yep.
high regulation, fading opportunity states like California, like Illinois.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're going to see from our marketing. Over the last several years, we've done a lot in terms of workforce development in the West Valley, really bringing together the business community, understanding what their needs are, and bringing the education partners to the table so that they are providing actual programs that will really help develop the workforce that's needed, not just a college degree for the sake of a college degree, but to have something that's employable afterwards. So you'll hear more about that. But I'm going to shift gears a little bit. So, Arizona has definitely had some changes over the last few years. We've definitely seen that in this past election. It's looked a little bit different. So moving into the future administration, how do you see yourself, or what do you plan on doing? How do you plan on working with the next administration on some of the key priorities? Infrastructure has been tremendous for us, so transportation investment, water investment, so important to us, and obviously border security and a lot of that international trade that we are perfectly positioned for. So how are you going to work with the next administration, Gov?
Well, the same way I've worked with the last two. I mean, my job is to represent and advocate for the people of the state of Arizona. They are my boss. That's who I report to. So this will be my third president now. We're going to have some news on how we're going to be working together, but you identified many of the priorities for the state of Arizona. Of course, that trade with Mexico is important to us. It's something that I think has grown our state and our state's economy. We were the ambassador state on the USMCA, something that we're very proud of in this past administration. But we also have to have an eye to the security around the border with the things that happen there that can hurt us in Arizona and hurt our kids and our neighborhoods around drug cartels and human trafficking. So we'll want to partner there. I think we're long overdue on infrastructure and doing something much bigger on infrastructure. And in a Washington, D.C. that's largely divided in so many ways, I think infrastructure is something that we can come to an agreement on. And in terms of the state of Arizona, I feel very fortunate that I've got relationships across the aisle in this state and in both of our caucuses. And in terms of a governing majority, we were able to keep our majorities in the House and the Senate at the state level in Arizona. And like I said, a lot of friends across the aisle as well. So good common sense ideas are what we want to bring forward. We're going to build on our strengths. If you've been watching for the past 6 years, you should expect more of that for these next 2 years. And we're really in a position to maximize all of our advantages now in the state of Arizona.
Great, thank you. So one of the other areas too, in terms of the unity that we've seen, you came out pretty strong opposing the actions last week at the Capitol. And Governor, I applaud you for that personally. I think many of the leadership in this state and this nation really applauds you for your strong words this Monday. But how do you see bringing folks together? What can I do? How can leadership organizations like Westmark and GPL and GPEC and East Valley Partnership, how can we get together and really deliver a strong message on bringing those folks together?
Well, I think that can bring a lot of unity in what we saw last Wednesday. The fact that it was a sickening day in Washington, D.C. It should never happen again. All perpetrators should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We're just not going to have violence or vandalism in the people's house. And I know that people are divided. It was a very spirited election cycle. The people have spoken. And it's time that us in leadership positions lead and govern. And I think also looking for policies in which we can come together on. Things that we can move forward. I set the agenda in the larger state of the state. People can find it online, but there's a lot that we can do there, from getting training and equipment to law enforcement, to criminal justice reform, to stopping wildfires to broadband expansion throughout our state, these aren't really partisan issues. These are good public policy issues, and infrastructure really is the role of government, and it's one of the few things in the role of government where you can bring private sector jobs as well as making sure that you have the proper backbone to our economic growth and development. So that's how I intend to lead as governor of all the people. With that type of tone, and that's what you'll see out of the ninth floor. That's what you'll see out of the chief executive in the state of Arizona, and I invite all other elected leaders, all citizens of goodwill to join me.
So let's get back to business. Let's get back to
business.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I think we're all with you on that one. So speaking of growth and infrastructure investments, clearly over the last 20 years, I've lived in the West Valley for almost 22 years now.
You've seen a lot of change.
I've seen a lot of change, and I love it.
83rd Avenue in Bell, we signed the first Cold Stone Creamery franchise agreement, and it was a cotton field. And you go out there today, and it's hard to even get your head around.
Yeah, you're in
that.
the middle of
a power center.
Yeah.
I mean, every opportunity. Every option available.
Yeah, and speaking of State Farm Stadium and the activity happening there, our office is just right up the street, kind of walking distance from the stadium. So I'm excited to see all of the folks in the activity come back.
I can't wait to get everybody back inside State Farm Stadium, and we've got a lot to be excited about with the Cardinals and the potential for next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I'm with you on that. We've seen a lot of growth, right? We've seen the infrastructure grow. We've seen the freeway investments. We've seen the population growth, 1.7 million residents. We've got a lot of rooftops. One of the biggest challenges that we've been working on in the West Valley is prior to pandemic, we had a lot of folks on the freeways driving east for employment. And so that's why, Microsoft's investment in the West Valley, in El Mirage and Goodyear, that's why those things are so important to bring those jobs home to our residents. But what are some policies, what are some direction, what are some ideas that you have in your office and working with Sandra Watson on to bring more of those businesses so that we employ our 1.7 million residents locally so they can, get back to school, they can spend time with their families, they can, invest in their kids' schools and so on. So
it's a great question, and it reminds me of when I first came into office, because I am a businessman. I ran on that kind of agenda that we're going to grow the state and we're going to be the most welcoming, inviting state and the best place to live, work, raise a family, and scale a business. Some people rolled their eyes at that. Today, we're among the leading states in the nation, competing pound for pound with places like Texas that used to lead the country on that. So my objective, of course, has been the state of Arizona, and that's every part of Arizona. But you can see the successes that the West Valley has had before I came into office and more recently. That's the best way for us to grow that ecosystem. What I heard from a lot of business people when I ran for office is they'd say, Doug, I love it here, but my kid just graduated college and they can't find a job here.
Absolutely.
They can't find a career here. They've got to move somewhere else to apply their college diploma. I haven't heard that for 5 years. Okay, there's plenty of jobs, plenty more on the way, bringing the headquarter offices here. And this is why it's so important that Arizona remain a competitive, responsible state from a tax policy standpoint. People do vote with their feet, and in that competition, Arizona's been winning. I think everybody remembers in my second state of the state when I said I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my partner in growing Arizona's economy.
Yep.
And that was then California Governor Jerry Brown.
Yep.
Well, now I've got governors all over the country helping grow the state of Arizona because they're pushing people and producers out with high tax, unnecessary regulation, and a real mishandling in terms of sweeping edicts and mandates around this pandemic rather than being targeted, balanced, and measured, which is how we've done it.
You know, and you're spot on when you talk about kids leaving. They grow up and they leave the state because they have no opportunities here. And you're right, that is diminishing. We sat around the Westmark table, and it's interesting that you said 5 years, because I've been at Westmark for 5 years now.
Well, you're part of it. You're a partner.
Yep. So, but we sat around the table saying, hey, we want our kids to work locally, and you know, after they graduate, we want them to stay here in our community and you know, enjoy the benefits of the West Valley and the region. So good work, good teamwork here.
Yes, good teamwork. You're a great partner.
So,
and everyone, as is everyone in the West Valley.
Absolutely. So tell me, what's on the agenda for this coming session for you? I know we're kind of getting close to our time to wrap up here. So tell us what you got and how we can help you.
So I think it's important, with all the optimism that we have and all we have to look forward to, it is my role that we come back to what's most important right now, and that is the pandemic. That's the personal responsibility of physically distancing, wearing our masks, getting this vaccine out as effectively as possible. And then beyond that, I think most Arizonans are concerned about their kids and their education, and then about their jobs and what that looks like. So that's really where we're going to begin. We want to do some things to make certain that our kids have the options and the resources that they need, not only to get their education, but to get caught up. Everyone fell behind to a certain degree during distance learning. Mm-hmm. And we've had an achievement gap in our state for years, and that achievement gap has only gotten worse. Online learning hasn't been good for our kids in low-income areas. Oftentimes they don't have Wi-Fi or a laptop. So job one is getting kids back up to grade level so that when they do graduate high school, it's on time and with the skills necessary, whether they want to go on to community college, university, trade, vocational school, or onto our military. And beyond that, we want to bring back jobs in the state of Arizona. We were leading in economic momentum. We're still there, but I think we're in a stronger position today than we were when the pandemic started, not because of the pandemic or the recession, but because how far behind other states have fallen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The education situation is really interesting this year, and I'm fortunate that my daughter is 26, so I don't have to have an opinion there just yet. But it is such a challenge. So we look forward to working with you on your priorities for next year. Your priorities or our priorities we're very regional, as you know, pretty significant region in the West Valley, 1.7 million residents, very, very talented workforce, and excited about the opportunities that we have with you and with the ACA. So, Governor, thank you so much for your time today. I know that this is a different year for us, but we look forward to next year and packing the room with all the West Valley stakeholders again.
I want to thank you. I look forward to next year. Also, people should expect for their businesses a COVID-19 protection, as I mentioned in my comments, and then also for your families and for our hardworking doctors and nurses. Continue to practice that personal responsibility, do the right thing, get a vaccine, and 2021 is going to be a much better year than 2020. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.